I have never had a losing year over my entire poker career using these simple strategies. You will beat any low stakes poker game if you are able to apply them. So in this video, I'm going to break each one of them down so you can instantly level up and start seeing results today. The first strategy involves something I see at low stakes all the time. For this example, let's say we have aces and under the gun +1, and under the gun opens to $15 in a 2-5 game. I have seen people put in a call here hoping and praying someone behind them is going to put in a 3-bet. Please stop slow playing hands, both pre-flop and post-flop. I am going to give some reasons why we do not need to do this. When you cross the street, do you cross it yourself as an adult, or do you look around for someone to hold your hand? In this exact situation pre-flop, we need to put in a 3-bet ourselves to build up the pot and not depend on others to get the job done. If everyone calls behind us and we go to a flop 6 ways, are we ever going to win with aces? Probably not. Premium holdings want to play for premium money, so put in as much money as you can. Now for post flop, let's say we have a simple situation where we play a pot big blind versus button. Button opens $15 and we defend with pocket fives. We go to a flop of ace 5-9 rainbow. Bottom set is beautiful in this spot, right? We check and then button fires out a bet for 50% of the pot. At this point, it is time to fast play our hand. Stop thinking about trapping and start putting in more money into the pot to get paid. We should put in a check raise, barrel turn very big, and go all in on the river on almost every run out if we are playing a $500 or 100 big blind starting stack. People at lower stakes call way too wide and show up with the worst hands imaginable. Someone will call a check raise triple barrel with just an ace, weak kicker here, and think they are going to win. Yes, sometimes we may check raise and our opponent does not have an ace to continue with, but they will still have other hands that want to call too. The list of hands is endless because players at the table only have a call button and do not even consider you may have them destroyed in this line. If you struggle to beat your competition and want to become a better poker player, check out my free weekly newsletter. I have received amazing feedback for all the information I provide. Scan the QR code or click the link in my pinned comment to join. The next strategy is for all the players that tend to find themselves in very tough situations. You need to only play good hands. For this, I will take the Brandon Sligh, aka BS approach, standing for Be Simple, because it really is. You want to make sure you are playing hands that have a lot of equity and are able to navigate post-flop very well. This is going to include ace-x suited hands, strong ace offsuit hands, such as ace-10 offsuit and ace-jack offsuit, and other strong Broadway hands that are suited. I cannot emphasize enough how much easier it is to play hands that have potential to make the best hand possible with the board, aka the nuts. Hands that do this are Jack-10 suited, Queen-Jack suited, King-10 suited, and so on. We also want to play some suited connectors, such as 6-5 suited, 8-7 suited, depending on the position we are in, of course, and even some pocket pairs. Pocket pairs are amazing for flopping sets, and as we saw, a set is the easiest made hand to play and is also one of the most disguised hands at the poker table. Stop playing hands such as Queen-2 suited, 9-2 suited, and 8-3 suited. Just because a hand is suited does not mean it has strong enough properties to navigate post-flop well. Having a good kicker and strong straight possibilities is extremely valuable. Now we know the hands we should be playing, so let's focus on a strategy involving the small blind. There are going to be two parts to this, the second being the most significant. To start, stop calling in the small blind. If you are playing 2-5 and button opens to $15, calling for $13 more with a mediocre hand is not a good idea. We are not priced in or committed to see a flop. It is called a blind bet and not a I need to see the flop every time bet. We can comfortably fold majority of our hands here. Playing a hand such as 8-6 suited or 6-4 suited is not recommended. We also have to play in the worst spot to be in poker, out of position to the rest of the table. I know the hand looks pretty, but just like a toxic relationship with an extremely good looking person, you have to let it go. Now for the second part, I want to start out with a question. Do you chop when you're in small blind and big blind when it folds to you? I am sure we have all been there. If we are in the blinds, we look to our left or right and say the famous words, chop? Sometimes people peek and that influences their decisions, little do you know. The real question is, have you thought about not chopping? It is time to stop chopping the blinds. It feels natural to not want to play a hand in a blind versus blind, aka BVB configuration. We believe we are making the game move faster and are going to make more money by not wasting time on a so-called trivial spot. Majority of players are extremely uncomfortable playing because it's foreign territory. I personally never chop in the blinds. Why? It is because I have an advantage playing post flop in these situations. I have done a vast amount of studying and drilling in these spots, and I encourage you to do the same. Poker is a game of having an advantage or edge on other players at your table, and this is your opportunity to do so. Your winnings at the table will increase as you become comfortable navigating the situation. The more you put yourself in this spot in the big blind in position or in the small blind out of position, the more experience you will gain. If you are in small blind, you will get to raise and sometimes take it down right away. Did you know you pay no rake if you take the pot down pre-flop? This gives even more of an incentive to not chop. Also, when small blind plays a limp, which people do at lower stakes and even at high stakes, you get to raise it up and take down a blind for free. Not only do we profit on their limp, but we just defended our own big blind. Sometimes we have to play post flop. Most times, villain and small blind will call a hand they aren't supposed to anyway because they have never studied the spot. If people are paying $13 to see a flop in small blind when they feel committed, don't you believe they may sometimes call bad hands too when they have an entire big blind or $5 in? Now their range post flop starts to not be able to defend accordingly. We will also have position on our opponent. They will check and you will be able to find lots of continuation bets generating folds. Now, instead of just chopping and moving on to the next hand, you can go from winning $0 to winning an extra 4 big blinds or $20 in this scenario. 4 big blinds goes a long way in increasing your winnings. If you flop a big hand, you can also not slow play as we discussed before because people will put the money in bad as we fire away betting. It will take time, but you can gain the confidence to play this and many other uncomfortable spots in poker with experience. Are you not feeling confident when you play? If so, you can become more confident with the advice I provide in my free weekly newsletter. Many people look forward to my emails every week. You can join by scanning the QR code or by clicking the pinned comment on this video. Not knowing the when, why, and how to 3-bet causes significant problems for poker players. Generally, players just do not 3-bet enough, especially at low stakes poker. It tends to be one of the weakest points I see in all of my students when I start coaching them. You cannot just 3-bet aces and kings without 3-betting anything else. If you have this image at the table, then it is even a better time to start widening your range because people will believe you always have it. One perfect time to find a 3-bet is when you notice a player is raising almost every hand. This is mathematically not possible, so they are just playing too many hands. We can take advantage by putting in 3-bets because they will not have enough hands in their range to defend. When they do defend, we want to make sure we have hands such as ace queen and ace jack to go up against their weaker ace x and other holdings. Also, people in low stakes love calling versus open raises. Sometimes there will be 2 or 3 calls, right? This is the perfect opportunity to put in a 3-bet squeeze whether you are in position or out of position. A lot of times they will not want to call, so we get the chance to take down a massive pot without seeing a flop. If someone opens $15, 2 people call, and we 3-bet making them all fold, we are profiting $50 instantly. If you really want a so-called family pot, you can invite people over and have dinner. Keep in mind, overall, people view 3-bets as super strong at lower stakes. If you do get called and go to a flop, you have the opportunity to put in a continuation bet on favorable boards. The caller of the 3-bet must respect the pre-flop aggressor who 3-bet. With 3-betting, we can also isolate the fish or recreational at the table. These are the opponents you are going to win the most money against. So why would you want to play a big multi-way pot with the other regulars in your games? Trust me, Regs to your left will not 4-bet you light and have to respect your 3-bet. Poker is all about calculated and well-timed aggression, and 3 bet and more accomplishes this. The next one is more of a strategy that must be acquired away from the poker table. You need to not be angry about bad beats. Talking about them and sharing them with your friends over and over again only promotes negativity in your mind. Do you contact your poker friends when you win a big hand and everything goes right? How about if you give someone else a beat at the table? These are the stories everyone wants to hear about to uplift their day because, yes, good things happen in poker too. You need to learn to always keep a positive mindset when playing. Do not be distracted by a bad beat if and only if you truly played the hand to the best of your knowledge and ability. If you made a mistake such as slow playing aces and they were cracked, nobody is going to feel sorry for you. Focusing on other mistakes in many poker hands instead of the result of losing is how the elite poker players approach the game. Getting it in good and losing to a two-outer is going to happen. Aces versus kings is roughly an 80-20 spot pre-flop all in. So this means if we run the spot 100 times, we should mathematically win about 80 times and lose about 20 times. If you understand this, your poker skill level will increase instantly beyond your peers. Even being ahead post flop and losing to a flush draw is bound to happen. What we do after it happens is what determines the type of poker player we are. Stay as calm and collected as you possibly can. If you cannot after losing a big hand, then it is time to call it a day. Poker is going to be there tomorrow, the next day, and the next weekend too. Really take the time and focus on improving your mental game on and off the table to be able to handle unexpected variance. If you struggle with variance and want to improve your mental game, you should sign up to my free weekly newsletter. You will learn what it takes to be a great poker player just by scanning the QR code on your screen or clicking the pinned comment to this video. Playing multi-way pots is by far one of the most frustrating situations to be in. You have to be able to make adjustments depending on how many players see the flop. Playing heads up always feels much easier, right? It should, because worrying about one range can still be complex, but worrying about 3 other ranges going to a flop can be extremely overwhelming. I am going to give you a simple way to approach multi-way pots. If you are out of position or even the pre-flop aggressor, you should find a lot more checks. You cannot just start barreling aces into 3 or 4 other people post-flop. Passive play is the way to go in these situations. An easy tip is, as the number of players increase post-flop, the more passive we need to be. As the number of players decrease post-flop, the more aggressive we get to be. This works the same way with hands we find calls with on the flop, turn, and river. The more people, the threshold needed to defend accordingly will increase, and the less people would decrease the threshold needed. A quick example of this would be if we have ace-7 suited on an ace-king-queen rainbow board. If someone randomly bets pot with a total of 4 people in it, do you really think your ace is good? Of course not. Be sure to use these simple multi-way tips to be able to navigate post-flop more effectively. Now I want to talk about a skill that separates the elite from the mediocre players. It's understanding when and how to fold. I will keep this simple for you. If you feel you keep putting in calls in really tough spots and they always have it, well, it is finally time to start folding more. Most people do not fold enough, so this is your alert to fold just a little more in your low stakes games. The problem is that people theoretically do not bluff enough. Yes, that one time you finally called a big all in on the river worked out, but what about the 9 other times? What about all the times someone check raises big on the turn and bets big on the river? Did you fold then? Generally, if we face aggression at lower stakes, we just get to fold more. Or when you have premium or strong made hands. Try not to call medium strength hands in your range so often. Do not believe someone is capable of pulling off some sick bluff until you see it with your own 2 eyes at a showdown. Not folding is important and is only one of the many things you're doing wrong. So check out this next video to fix your poker game and change the way you think about it forever.